So let's move on. We're going to go do this new part. We're going to, Patrick's away, so I've kind of taken over the controls. And as you can tell, I don't do that good a job researching things as Patrick does. He spends a lot more time prepping the show. I'm going to do something. I'm going to bring back something I call the trading couch. And one of the things that I definitely believe is that trading is the mental game is very important. And I think that too often when you get on Twitter or when you read people's recounts of their lives, all they'll do is talk about the bad trades. And I think that talking about all they do is talk about the good trades. I think that talking about the bad trades is important, and passing along some of this information in terms of learning, helping people avoid the mistakes you made. And not only that, for you to realize that these are the problems that you're susceptible to. So, Harris, if you're up for it, I ask you to take a seat on the trading couch, lie down if you want. And let's talk about some of the things that you do wrong, or some of the things that you battle with in the trading game.
All right, Doc.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, trading, in the end, you don't have to be very smart to see a cheap stock. It should be obvious, and if you have to build a model, it's not obvious. And what stops people from buying cheap stocks and then sitting on their ass is their brain. It's constantly working and trying to force you to do dumb stuff. And you have to overcome that. And the winners of this game aren't usually smarter. They're just more disciplined. And everyone has their own way. Yeah, everyone has their own way of doing it, but you got to be disciplined. You got to have rules, and you got to follow those rules.
Yeah, I completely agree. That is I always say to people, you know what? Everyone has their own rules, and they need to figure out those own rules, the stuff that they're comfortable with, and then they need to be true to them. And that's where you fall down, and it's so hard. Like I have my rules that I write, and then I go and I break them like an idiot.
We all do.
Yeah,
that's why we're not billionaires.
Yeah, exactly. And even when you're almost like it's like a junkie that's like looking for the next shot of heroin. You're like, why did I do this again? And you could be, as you get smarter, you just realize that your brain figures out slightly different ways to break the rules. Like I joke and say that all I bring to the party is 25 years of mistakes. I just seem to figure out new mistakes to make.
But that's already a skill, because if you make the same mistake twice, then you're not creating value. If you find new and creative ways to lose money, then you are advancing.
Right. So now, what are the things that you struggle with? Do you have things that you are particularly prone to, like the cheap stock kind of? I end up buying too much of it, and I see that you wrote an article today about, or maybe it was yesterday, about Tesla, and how you said. You basically said, that's it, Elon got me, I'm out of it, and I thought that was pretty disciplined of you. I thought it was actually very big of you as well to write the article saying that, I tried this, it didn't work, and I'm updating people, and that's too often people that have bad trades seem to just forget about it and not follow up. So I thought that was a really great article. Is that something that you find yourself doing too much of, like selling trying to time the bubble stock and short it to be the hero?
I'd say if you look at my trading history, the thing I've lost the most money out of anything is shorting stocks. I don't know why I short. I went 10 years without pressing the short button. And about a year and a half ago, thank God I didn't short. I only, bought some puts. But I just said, this thing is a fucking fraud, and I'm going to short it. And to hell with Elon. This thing's going to die. And, and then I started making money on my Tesla puts, and I started being like, I'm going to go find some other Ponzi frauds. And I started shorting some of those too. And next thing you know, I lost a decent chunk of money. It's look, in the end with Tesla, I was up, 600 bips. And when I closed the trade down 300 bips, like it's a big swing, day to day. But, in the scheme of my fund, and I'm a fund that usually has 5 positions be 80%. I mean, having a high single digit down day is kind of, it's called what happens once a quarter,
right.
Once every 6 months. It's not life changing or anything. And, and it's a swing. The actual crystallized loss, which is the thing I'm focused on, was like 300 bips. Like, who cares? But when I closed that out, I started looking at everything else I'm short, and it was like Peloton, Chewy, like, the hell do, like, it's kind of like shades of Tesla still. Like, so I just said to hell with it. Smile Direct and all this nonsense. I just got out of it. And, talking about this discipline thing, well, let's talk about shorting. Like, I don't know why I started shorting. I've found that when I have an amazing run where, I've had back to back years, I'm up 100%. I'm always going to not just step on one landmine, but I'm going to go to like a minefield and just kind of like tap dance around until I hit a few of them. And I've had a great run, and this year hasn't been so great outside of shipping, and I think I was kind of due for it in the end. But talking about the discipline. When you get a core position, and for me, a core position is one of my top 5 positions. When you get it wrong and you get out for a loss, the worst possible thing you could do is say, I'm going to work harder and find something else and make it back. Because you're inevitably going to put something on when you're not ready, when the timing's wrong, you're going to try to make it back, and you make the problem so much worse. So what you do instead is you book all the things that you're not completely confident in, which is, as I said, the Chewies and the Lyfts and the Ubers and Silicon Valley and OZK and all this crap that I'm short. And after you've booked it all, you go to a place where the internet doesn't work too well and no one's going to call you. You turn off your phone and you just go have fun for 2-3 weeks. And look, if something bad happens, I'll see it because I'm disciplined. I check the news in the morning for 20 minutes. But when it's 9:32, you turn off and you go to the beach, or you go hiking, or you go see some historic stuff. But you got to be disciplined. You got to get out of the office. You got to stop looking at stocks. You got to have a refresh of the brain. I have a very good friend of mine who got into a terrible trading rut, and he turned a decent chunk of money into zero over about 3 years. And I just kept telling this guy, dude, you got to get away. Like, I'll buy you a vacation. Just spin the globe. Tell me where. I will pay you and your wife, go first class, stay at nice hotels. You just got to get away from your screens. He's like, no, I'm going to make it back. I feel this one's the next one. That he literally turned a lot of money into no money, and he's a disciplined, successful trader. And it's just so important to have a reboot when you get one wrong. And
Yeah.
I mean, my year is actually reasonably okay, but still, I got a top 5 wrong, and it's time to reboot. If you're not disciplined about that, when you're having a negative 300 bips, then when you have a negative 1,000 bips, you're going to turn it into negative 5,000.
Right. So I have a couple things to say to that. First of all, I think I need more friends like you, Harris, offering to send
Hey,
my wife.
I'm going to Antigua tomorrow morning. I'm going to Antigua, 9 a.m. Why don't you get on the plane with me?
But you're sending your good friend that's having a trading rut. You're saying I'll pay for it. I'll be like, I'm having a terrible trading rut. No. So, but I completely agree. The other thing is that I too find myself when I'm up. That's when I get dangerous because I start to think, oh, I'm playing with someone else's money, and then the very things that made me up, like the skill that made me up, all of a sudden disappears. Meaning, like, if I go, I'm a good chipper. I can just chip, and I'm just not I'm not the kind of trader that's going to go and have like 100% position, like 100% up in one position. I'm more likely to do a whole bunch of 5s and 10s, and if I did have a 100% year, it would be very steady, as opposed to like the kind of trader that will just go and be even, up 10, down 10, up 50, down 10, plus another 40 or something. You know what I mean? Whatever the number is. So I'm more of a chipper, and I find that when I chip and I go, so like I'm chipping away and stuff, and then all of a sudden I start to think I know something. The moment I think I know something, I know I'm in trouble. And like I almost need like the little devil on my shoulder telling me when I'm an idiot. Like, no, Kev, you don't know anything. You don't know anything. And that's when I trade better. I kind of laugh and say I got my wife at home to tell me I'm an idiot, but I need her at work telling me that no, you don't know anything. And I think that feeling, like you mentioned the fact that you were up and that it ends up being, you almost feel like you're due for it. It is a problem a lot of traders deal with. Like I've heard of guys. Sorry, go ahead.
You're always going to screw up when you're having a good up year. I mean, last year I was up like 60 or 70 or something like insane in October. And I'm like, let's go do some offshore drillers. Like, and,
Yeah.
and then it starts going against me. And I'm like, well, I'm still up 50 on the year. I'm still up 40 on the year. Instead of looking at it and just being like, look, oil's crashing. These offshore drillers were in the money, were at the money basically when I bought them. Now they're out of the money in terms of the oil price they need. And let me just stop the hell out. And I'm thinking, I'm up 50. I can give it another 500 bips. And next thing you know, you're up 20 on the year, and you're like, Well, that was dumb. And thank God I cut
Yeah.
out, because these things all dropped by like 2/3 from where I cut them. And I kind of gave my year back. And I mean, I had a great year. Like last year, as I said, I was up like 60, 70. And the year before, I was up over 100. In like an 18-month period, I had a triple. And I had to give a third of it back. It's just like, and
Yeah.
it's one of the hardest parts of this industry is, you have to kind of, I guess, give some charity to the less fortunate investors sometimes.
Well, the other thing you need to almost think about is never think about like that thinking where you said, I'm up 50, I can afford to take a risk with 10. That's got to go away. You just cannot do that, and that's the real problem. And I suffer from that as well. What made me get up 50. All of a sudden, I changed my trading so that it's no longer the same reason that I'm up 50. It's some new reason, and I'm taking way more risk. And then you inevitably end up selling, at the wrong time. So I completely agree. But I think that really the lesson to take away from this, from everyone that's listening, is that you need to be disciplined about, you have to figure out where your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and then you have to put in rules and you have to follow them. So even though you do have some volatile swings, you're smart enough and disciplined enough to actually cut it out. And I am actually thinking that this Tesla is a great example of you doing something that's unusual for traders. Too often I'll see guys that spend the rest of their career just fighting it, right? Like you're
Well,
basically licking your wounds and saying I'm off. There's better battles to fight. You might still believe that it's going to be a zero, but you're like, why spend the time and the energy trying to fight that battle?
so like with Tesla, okay, so I saw the press release. I started reading through it. I listened to some of my friends, and none of us understand how he beat the number. We have really good insight because there's so many people following this thing. And I really do think that Musk had his Draghi moment where, sometime this week, last week, he kind of said, I'll do whatever it takes. Like before, I played with some accruals and I, massaged some things around. And now I'm just like full frontal fraud. I will just make shit up going forward. And it's a good friend of mine who emailed me this morning. He's like, Cuppy, you're so right. Like, look at Einhorn. He fought that other thing for 10 years, wrote a book about it, made no money. Like, once these guys decide that they're a full fraud, I mean, it can just be a more full fraud and a more like you just go down this sort of slippery slope and then you're full on fraud. And like, how do you fight that? And
Yeah.
but
That's
look,
a great book, by the way. That's an awesome
it's a
book.
great book. Fooling some of
Yep.
the people all the time. I've read it twice. It will make you a better investor. But I mean, going back to the Tesla, like I kind of got drunk on Wednesday night and said, "The fuck am I doing with this thing? I'm gonna go find the next shipping play where I can make 10 or 20 times my money and not fight over Tesla." And I just said, I'm covering on the open. By 9:35, I will book all my options. Whatever the price is, I don't really care. I'm not going to massage the trade. And I booked it. I got about 295, basis where I booked my options. Here we are at 330.
Yep.
So, I mean,
No,
when you have a loss, you take your loss. Discipline, man, discipline.
discipline. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. You can get up off the couch.